I decided to start making a documentary kind of thing, or some footage of the songs that I've been recording in the studio here. And this is the making of one of my songs called "Slave and Lover." And I wrote this when I was about 19 or 20, somewhere in there. I'm going to re-record it again, part of my bucket list, if you will. One of the things that's unique about the song the song "Slave and Lover," the way I recorded it was, and it was the way I recorded quite a few songs back then, and that was um, because I worked it out in my head so many times, and I wrote it down on paper, and I played it. I actually wrote it on bass guitar first, so uh, that's how I wrote most of my songs back then. The very first thing I recorded were the drum tracks, and I did them by themselves with no click track, no accompaniment, no guide track, nothing. I had just, what I did was I memorized in my head um, what the arrangement of the song was. And of course, I got it wrong because when you're trying to focus on your timing and your tempo, and remember where all the verses and the choruses were, um, I got lost. So what I would do is I would add a couple of extra bars. I would go over by a couple of extra bars in some places. So instead of doing eight, or I would be short, I would go six sometimes instead of going eight, uh, or I would go 10 or 12 sometimes. Because it was very complicated. It's a rather long song. It ended up being about 9 minutes long. So what happened was I didn't know at the time until I went to add the guitars. So when I went to add the bass guitar, I looked at my cue sheet, my arrangement sheet, and everything was all out of whack. So it took me a long time to record the song with the drums. Like, it took me a lot of takes, and it was pretty frustrating trying to do it that way. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to re-record the drums. So what I did was I rewrote the guitars, the music, the song around the drums. A serendipitous moment, if you will. Uh, it actually ended up sounding really cool because the formula was so different. It just took the song to other places, and so I liked it. What I'm doing a bit different this time is I have the original song on the timeline, and what I've done is I've made I've used a guide track this time of me singing in the background, but I'm not going to use the original tempo because the original tempo was back then. I want to use a bit of a different tempo now. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing a click track in on certain points, and I'm taking the click track away so I can play freehand, because I want to play freehand, because freestyle, whatever you want to call it, because when the chorus picks up, I go a bit faster, and I want it to go faster because it feels better that way. I think that's the way music is. Listen to all the classic rock, the tempo's up and down. It's not a steady tempo. That's boring to me, so I don't want to do that. Uh, yeah, so, for God's sakes, Jim, I'm a drummer, not a doctor, not a drum machine. Yeah, so now here's another thing that's interesting about this, and I'm going to try and bring the camera over in a minute. Uh, Excuse the lighting. I realize the lighting's not the greatest in here, but now my kit consists of what I've always had, and that is my Rototoms. I love these, the 6, 8, 10. And then I've got three main toms. I got two rack toms, a 10 and a 12. Or sorry, an 8 and a 10. And then I got a floor 14 here, right here. Now, here's the part that I've been looking for these for about over 20 years, and I finally found them on Kijiji. It's another set of Rototoms, but it's a 14 and a 16. That's how they sound in the camera mic with the camera mic. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play them, and I'm going to let you hear the difference in the kit. Um, what I'm doing in Nuendo versus what the camera mic is picking up. So, excuse me, Ziggy, my mascot, the studio mascot. Ziggy, a little sip of tea here. Okay, so I'm just going to play you a bit of I'm just going to play you how the kit sounds, and then I'm just going to you when I edit the video, you'll see it play back with the microphones on the camera muted. So it'll be the same exact thing. So, all right. Yeah, another thing too is I put this ride cymbal here. I normally don't, but since it's in the studio, because this is the ride cymbal that I actually used, I believe. I don't think I used this one, but I'm going to keep them both. So, and I kind of put it there because it feels kind of good where it is like that. So, all right. So here's the way the kit sounds. Just going to do single hits, and then maybe I'll play a little beat or something. And then here's the two rototoms, the big ones. The odd thing about this setup is that what's going to be challenging, I've got 3 sets of toms here basically. And although these are rototoms and these, I'll explain what I mean. These are wood, of course, so these have a similar tone. These are just the regular rototoms. These I've had to mute. I had to super mute these because if I left them open, they would just ring out of control because they're so massive, right? But so if you listen to what I put some muffle rings inside here, and then I had to tune it. I had to play with it till it sounded pretty decent. But so now, if I do a roll, it sounds awkward, right? But that's going to be the challenge. But I want to do it this way because it's just different, and I really like the way these two toms sound, from what I hear in my head of how the song's going to go in the new version here. So yeah, so here I'm going to do a roll right down, like, right. So tune-wise, they're pretty good. Like the pitch going down, they're pretty consistent. But you can hear that there's in the camera mic, you can hear how different they sound. Can never help getting carried away with that, but so yeah, so okay. I'm going to play the drums a little bit, and you're going to hear it with the camera mic. I'll play all the drums, and then you'll hear kind of what I've done differently in Nuendo. I just basically added some EQ, of course. I EQ'd it to try and make the drum sound a bit more consistent, and a little bit of reverb, right? So, but what's going to be challenging is hitting these toms in a creative way that works with the rest of the kit. So I'll have to play with it when I'm rehearsing it through to see, where I'm going to hit these ones and where I'm going to hit these ones, because I don't know if hitting them together is going to work, but I don't know until I try. All right, so here we go. Here's the kit. So this is the drum kit setting, the testing of the song Slave and Lover. I'll bring the camera over so you can see what I've done. And another thing that I've done, it's a little bit unconventional, if you will, is the overhead mics. I have 3 overhead mics, and they're all different. I didn't want to go with the same, and I'll explain why to you. This is a KSM 32, Shure, and that's an AKG 414. More kind of brighter microphones, if you will. And then that, you can see it, that's a Royer, a Ribbon, a 121. So very different microphones, right? They're also on different preamps too. That one's on a different preamp than the other two. But the reason is because this cymbal here is so incredibly ugly. And this side of the kit is a lot brighter. I found that when I had the matched pair, which I never really cared about, I just didn't like it. So rather than trying to EQ a whole bunch of stuff, I put that mic up there, and lo and behold, I liked it a lot better. I had to re-level it in Nuendo. I have to re-level it, yeah, I just liked it better. So that's something else that I've done that's a bit unconventional. There you go. I'm gonna bring the camera over now. You'll notice that I've got blankets, a blanket there, and a blanket there. The reason is it helps to minimize the high frequency pickup of other microphones picking up instruments that I don't really want them to pick up. So if you see the mic right, the packing blanket there across the rototoms, that's to stop the two small condenser mics on the rototoms from picking up too much hi-hat. And it knocks it down about, I don't know, 25%, and that's 25% better than what it was. And also, you'll see you can see the blanket on the across the bass drum and the two toms. And again, those toms are very hard lacquered, very reflective surface, and I find that it's shooting the cymbal, splash backing the cymbal back into this microphone here, and is making the tom microphone pick up a lot more cymbal. So this, again, when the cymbals are hit here and it reflects off the skin, off the shells, it's knocking it down about, maybe about 25%. I don't know, but I just know that when I A-B'd the test back, I could hear a substantial difference. And to me, again, if it's 10% better, it's 10% better. Okay, so let's see what happens when I unplug here. Battery's just about dead. Okay, so here you go. Here's the kit right here, and then there's the big rototoms. Again, I apologize for not having a proper, but that's the kit. I'm sure that the camera's about to die. All right, there you go. There's the 14 and 16 rototoms, and that's my setup. That's basically it. Nothing fancy. Trying to stop that mic from that light from burning out the lens here. Okay, camera's gonna die. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.